You are now watching, By the Minute, where we highlight unsolved, unidentified and missing cases across the nation. During the 1990s, the southern United States became a hotbed for gripping crime stories that both captivated and shocked the nation. From the haunting mysteries of the Atlanta child murders, to the shocking trial of O.J. Simpson, these cases left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the era. But amidst the glare of media attention and the passage of time, there remain untold stories, buried in the annals of history, waiting to be heard. In this episode, we delve into the forgotten and overlooked cases of the 90s, exploring the lives lost, the families left behind, and the questions that still linger in the air. Join us as we journey back to a time when innocence was shattered, justice was elusive, and the truth was obscured by the shadows of the past. Welcome to By the Minute, where the pursuit of answers knows no bounds, and where the echoes of the past still reverberate to this day. Miami-Dade, Florida. November 23, 1998. An innocent woman would meet her unfortunate demise, as she was unluckily at the wrong place, at the wrong time. It would be nearing Thanksgiving, when many people are preparing to enjoy time with loved ones, reuniting to share meals and stories about thanks amongst their families. One family's heart would be ripped out. And now, each Thanksgiving there is a reminder that their loved one's cold case remains unsolved. It would be around 7:45 p.m. when police dispatch would get a report for a shooting, with multiple suspects injured. Police would be en route to Bobby's Package Store, located in the 2000 block of Opelika Boulevard. When police and medics arrived on scene, they would find multiple people suffering from gunshot wounds. 4 victims were at the scene hit by gunfire, and one would succumb to the injuries of this crime. That victim was Denise Tyrie, 34, mother and innocent victim. Denise was a community beacon, who spent time giving back to the less fortunate in her area, and was also preparing to give out Thanksgiving dinners that holiday, but her dreams were taken away from her. Denise would only be standing outside the store, having a conversation with friends, possibly about her plans to help out the community, and spending time with her loved ones for the upcoming holiday, when a white car would approach the store. 2 men would leave the vehicle with ski masks and assault rifles, recklessly shooting into the crowd, without a care for anyone in the community visiting the store or in the area. Detectives know that the reason behind this crime is drug-related, as the suspects wanted to shoot someone that was known to hang out at the store. Instead, they took away the life of an innocent victim, who gave back to her community. Denise would lose her life at 34. And her family continues to plead with anyone who knows anything about this case, so that Denise can finally receive justice. Please, if you have any tips about this case, contact Crime Stoppers. Atlanta, Georgia. April 6, 1990. In a busy bustling city, a victim's haunting demise still remains unsolved. Who could be responsible? And how were they able to get away with murder for so long? Police would be called to the Holiday Inn Hotel, located at 1944 Piedmont Circle, in Atlanta. Housekeepers, waiting for checkout, to get started on their cleaning duties would stumble upon the body of a deceased woman and immediately alert police. Police would head to room 334, where they would find our victim, Carol Holman, 21. Carol was from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Details around why Carol would head out to Atlanta are unknown, but regardless of where her life journeys may have taken her, her life should have never been in jeopardy in the first place. Medical examiners would determine cause of death due to strangulation. While Carol was staying at the Holiday Inn, someone may have heard or seen something that can connect authorities to a suspect in this case. Carol was only 21 years old when her life was taken in a vicious and brutal manner. And the suspect responsible must be held accountable. Maybe you were staying at the hotel around the time and remember seeing something strange. Please contact the Atlanta Police Department with any tips in this case. Shreveport, Louisiana. November 14, 1993. Detectives know the victim knew the people responsible for her death, but they've been able to keep their identities confidential. Will time finally release their names? When police received a call to Mount Olive Church Road, they didn't expect this case to take years to solve, but their fears have been met. Once they arrived on scene in November of 1993, they would find a woman beaten and stabbed to death, left in a ditch. That woman was Sharon Glover. On scene they would determine that a brutal attack had taken place, but our victim put up a fight against her attackers, whom she likely knew. Detectives on scene took note of the struggle and determined that, due to the scene, it had to have been more than one person responsible. Sharon, a mother, was taken away from her children, and her very own mother has pleaded for help in her child's case. For decades, police have continued to investigate and have had multiple persons of interest in this case. Tips can be the key points to help Sharon receive the justice she deserves. Authorities need our help. Let's encourage those with tips to come forward and contact the Cato Shreveport Crime Stoppers. Searcy, Arkansas. July 29, 1994. A man taking off from work for a family trip would later be found shot in his bedroom. Marlon Bradley, 27, also known as Marty, a father and husband who worked as a truck driver. Marty would work for the company Agri-Turf. Marty needed August 5, 1994 off, and he would request that time off on July 19, 1994, and specifically stated the reason being was to go out of town on family business. But, by August 5, the police would already be working on a homicide investigation. It was July 29, 1994, Marty and his wife and children would be home. Marty's wife and the kids would be leaving the home at 3:30 a.m., as they were prepared to head to Louisiana, but Marty stayed behind. Police would be called to the residence later that evening around 4:12 p.m., and find that Marty would be found dead in his bedroom. Marty was found laying in his bed with blood on his face from a gunshot wound. The bullet found was a .38 caliber. Marty lost his life at the young age of 27. Help us keep this case in the light and make sure that whoever is responsible for this crime will be sentenced and out of the shadows of our community, harboring the secret they are a murderer. If you have any tips about this case, please contact the White County Sheriff's Department, Richmond, Virginia. March 9, 1993. A discovery would be brought to the light by those who help the city have lights themselves, but will the suspects in this case ever be brought from behind the shadows? Electric workers would be headed to a site near North 31st Street and East Franklin Street. In the area, they would find a blanket, but it looked as if a body was wrapped inside of it. They would go ahead and contact the police. When police arrived to the scene, they would confirm the workers' fears, and there was a man inside of the wrapped blanket with plastic. The victim, inside the blanket, would be determined to die from gunshot wounds. The man was described as a black male, between the ages of 25 to 35 years old, 6 feet 1 inch, weighing 140 pounds. When his body was found, it was decomposed, so the suspects knew that where they placed his body, it would not have been found easily. Till this day, our John Doe is missing his name, and the suspects in this case have gotten away with murder for over 3 decades. Someone out there knows our John Doe, and may know why. Someone may have wanted to hurt him. If you have any tips in this case, or about the identity of our John Doe, please contact the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Central District, Dunbar, West Virginia. November 25, 1997. Authorities are looking for a driver that may not even know they were involved in the demise of a missing persons case, now turned homicide. Authorities were called to I-64 eastbound ramp in Dunbar when a person found a body of a deceased male. Medical examiners would determine that the time of death of the person had to be near November 5 of 1997. Autopsy would reveal that the person would succumb to the injuries of being struck by a vehicle. The victim in this incident was Cecil Dow, 46. Cecil was from Edmond, West Virginia. He would be reported missing and authorities would end that investigation once they were able to identify the remains in this auto accident. Through investigation, the crash would leave paint markings from the vehicle on our victim. The vehicle was determined to be glacier blue. It was either a 1984, 1985 or 1988 Chrysler model. Other options of the vehicle include a 1984 or 1985 Plymouth Voyager or Dodge Caravan. Detectives have classified this case as a hit-and-run incident, as they are unsure if the driver knew that they actually hit a person. But the vehicle had to have sustained extensive damages and the driver had to have known that they did hit something. And unfortunately, in this case, it was Cecil Dow. Some cold cases that we cover on this channel will require loads of evidence to convict suspects, but for the instance in this case, it only requires the person responsible to come forward and do the right thing. If you were driving, and your car sustained damages along I-64 in November of 1997, please come forward and assist authorities in closing this case. Theodore, Alabama. November 7, 1998. A sister was expecting her brother for a visit, but he wouldn't arrive. Could items left in his vehicle lead detectives any closer to solving this missing persons case? When a brother didn't meet with his sister by his expected arrival time, she knew something was wrong, but attributed it to an accident on his route to her. Little did she know his trip would be halted way earlier. Edwin Satterthwaite, 52 at the time, would last be seen at his home, located on Kingsridge Road on November 7, 1998. Edwin was going to travel to his sister's for the holiday in Louisiana, but he wouldn't make it, which prompted a missing persons report to be filed. On November 12, authorities would gain a lead. They would locate Edwin's car, a 1993 Lincoln Town car, on Highway 45 and Clark Avenue in Pritchard, Alabama. Inside the car, they would find Edwin's cell phone, metal detector, and keys still in the ignition. There are few details available in Edwin's case, and authorities need tips in finding out where Edwin is, and why he wasn't able to make it to Louisiana in 1998 to visit his sisters. Edwin is a white male, 5 feet 8 inches, 6 feet 0 inches, 186 to 210 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. At the time of his disappearance, he would be 52, around the taping of this episode, Edwin would be around 78 years old. Have tips about how Edwin's car got there, or where Edwin could be today? Please contact the Mobile County Sheriff's Office. Memphis, Tennessee. January 6, 1999. A gruesome case with few details leaves a Memphis community with nightmares. It would be around 5 p.m. when police were called to an apartment located in the 1300 block of S. Lauderdale. Inside the apartment, police would find a woman murdered. That woman was 27-year-old Felicia Lewis. Felicia was also an expectant mother, and her unborn child would also lose their life in this case. At the scene, police would see that the door was forced open, and Felicia was stabbed and beaten to death, in an apparent robbery. The suspect or suspects in this case would know that Felicia was pregnant. The Memphis community was left shaken, and in fear, wondering who would be cruel enough to hurt Felicia, a pregnant woman, and take her and her unborn child's life. Today, her case remains unsolved. And that fear still shakes those who remember this case, and Felicia's family, who are left with the loss of two loved ones and long-awaited justice. Together, we can make sure that Felicia's story is not forgotten, and the suspect or suspects in her case know that we will continue to bring awareness until we receive justice. Anyone with tips is encouraged to contact the Memphis Crime Stoppers. Hazard, Kentucky. January 15, 1994. A man would be seen looking for assistance outside of a store, but his whereabouts remain unknown. Could an incident in the area be connected to his disappearance? Joel Wells, 21, father, would be hanging out with friends. Things would go astray after a disagreement and Joel would walk off. Joel's friends knew he was headed to the Burger King located at 100 Black Gold Court in the Black Gold Shopping Center. The workers wouldn't take the risk of opening the door in case the frantic plea was a setup for the beginning of a potential robbery, but they would call police and let them know that a man may need assistance. The store was closing and Joel would be frantically banging on the door. Workers remember it as if it was someone that was after him. And today, Joel remains missing. But investigators chased a lead into if the reason behind Joel's panic was due to him being a witness to a robbery. At a gas station located on Main Street, a robbery and murder would take place. The murderer in this case is currently in jail on a 25-year life sentence. Detectives did take a look into this lead, but at the moment have not been able to connect it to Joel's disappearance. Someone may have seen Joel and remember something about this case. Tips, no matter how small you think they may be, can get us answers on where Joel could be. Joel has a family including 14 siblings and 2 children who have been waiting years to get answers. Let's help them by bringing awareness to Joel's missing persons case. Joel is a white male, 6 feet 0 inches, weighing 160 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He also goes by his middle name Mark. At the time of his disappearance he was 21, and at the taping of this episode he would be around 50. Okolona, Mississippi. April 9, 1999. A simple run to handle errands would be the last time a woman was seen, and authorities wonder could the errand be the cause of her sudden disappearance. Shirley Gladney, 20 at the time, would be living in the Okolona area. Shirley would have to head out to pay her electric bill, and she would walk from her residence. But Shirley would never return home, and she was reported missing on April 12, 1999. Authorities have very few details in the disappearance of Shirley, and that's why it's important that we raise awareness to get tips that can lead us closer to finding her. Shirley is a black female, 5 feet 7 inches, 125 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Many people do exactly what Shirley did, and make it home, without a second thought that it could have been their last time seeing or speaking to their loved ones. Shirley or her family haven't had the chance to speak or see each other for years, with many questions still unanswered. Did you see Shirley walking, or have tips on where she may be today? Please contact the Chickasaw Sheriff's Office. Sherrills Ford, North Carolina. July 24, 1997. Could a necklace be the missing link to the identity of a woman found in a lake? Authorities would be called to Lake Norman when a body would appear in the waters. Research teams would head out to the lake to begin retrieving the remains, which were found decomposing. Examiners would determine the remains were found within 1 to 9 days before the death. They were also able to conclude that The remains were of a woman. The woman was described to be an Asian or Native American female, between the ages of 30 to 50 years old, 5 feet 3 inches and weighing around 80 pounds. She also had 3 ear piercings. Our Jane Doe has DNA available, but authorities have not been able to confirm a link to her identity or loved ones at this time. With an artist rendering, someone may be able to confirm if it looks similar to their loved one, and from there, we can find the identity of our Jane Doe that has remained a mystery from the lake for such a long time now. If you know our Jane Doe, please contact the Catawba County Sheriff's Office. April 3, 1992. Sumter County, South Carolina. With dreams of a legacy, in a family-owned business, the heir and father's lives would be taken in a robbery. It would be the night hours around 10 p.m. to 11:15 p.m. when the father-son duo would be met with tragedy. James Andrews and his son Kenneth were owners of the Quick Fare convenience store, located at the intersection of Pinewood Road and Kolb Road. When the pair didn't return home, police would head to the store and find both Andrew and Kenneth deceased. Autopsy results showed they were victims of gunshot wounds from a .38 caliber weapon. Police know that the robbery took place sometime between 10 and 11:15 p.m. on April 3 of 1992. Suspect or suspects in this double murder, selfishly, took 2 lives of the community in their cases till this day, remain unsolved. Help authorities bring justice and a great end to this tragedy, by submitting tips in this case to the Sumter Sheriff's Office. Cases in this episode remain unsolved and need our help in raising awareness. Join us in helping communities across our nation by the minute. Like and subscribe to the channel for more true crime news.